Welcome to the Analytics Power Hour. Analytics topics covered conversationally and sometimes with explicit language.
I may have your kind attention. How many people, show of hands, how many people in the room, thank you, have not, some over here too, how many people in the room have not listened to the Analytics Power Hour before? You are in for a treat, and there is a backlog of almost 250 shows you can listen to. Now, I'd like very much to introduce them, but they're really seriously good at introducing themselves. So,
what time is it? It's power time. What time is it? It's power time. What time is it? It's power time. Listen to the Analytics Power Hour. I say, come on over, aggregate on up, and drink a little bit from our data cup. We got Julie, Michael, Val, Tim, and Bo. That's who's talking when you listen to our show. We got all the analytics issues of the day. We talk on every topic, got a lot to say. So take a seat, minimize your browser, and listen to the Analytics Power Hour. What time is it? It's power time. What time is it? It's power time. What time is it? It's power time. Listen to the Analytics Power Hour now.
Welcome, everyone, to the Analytics Power Hour. Live, recording live at Marketing Analytics Summit, where the temperature is just a cool, calm, collected 108 degrees Fahrenheit. But we're cool in here, and we're excited to spend a little time with all of you today. And without further ado, let me introduce my co-hosts today on the show. All right, down here we have Julie Hoyer, Analytics Manager at Further.
Hi, everyone.
Next to her is Tim Wilson, Head of Solutions at Facts and Feelings.
That's good.
I knew I was going to screw it up.
Almost forgot it.
That's good.
Off to a good start.
One more. That's two down, one to go.
And then there's Val Kroll, who is the Head of Delivery at Facts and Feelings. And I'm Michael Helbling, and I'm the Managing Partner at Stacked Analytics. All right, let's get into it. So you might be wondering, what do they have in store? Well, we don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a back and forth. And we thought, in honor of what was sort of a recurring theme during this conference, this whole thing with AI, what could we do with AI? And we thought, let's see how well we know what's AI and what's not. So there's going to be a quiz. And what I'm going to do is I have asked some questions. We've asked some questions. My co-hosts have prepared some very brilliant answers. Your job is to figure out which one of their answers is generated by AI.
Wait, don't tell me.
It's kind of a wait, don't tell me
tell
type
me.
situation. All right, so without further ado, should we get started? Yes. There are prizes for correct answers. However, I forgot to pack them, so I need you to come up after the show, and I will get your address, and I will even ship it internationally to make up for my lapse in memory. All right, if only there was an AI agent for that. All right, let's get into it. So we'll start with an easy one. It doesn't matter how we answer the questions. All right, here's the question. What are the most overused words in analytics in 2024? And anybody, we can just go.
We're just jumping in? Okay. I'll go. All right. Insights, benchmark, directional, month over month, and Gen AI.
I think synergy, disruptive, big data, paradigm, scalable.
We should also mention that we haven't seen each other's answers, so
We have
I'm
not.
trying to think which one as we're going through this. So my answers were, I have to unlock my phone because I went off script here. Insights, AI, automated, real time, and directional.
All right, so here's how this works. Somebody have a guess? Who guess? Okay, I think, Josh, you had your hand up first. Tim's. You, sir, are correct. Those are AI-driven responses. So we got you an easy one to start. An easy
didn't
one to
sell
start.
it.
Great job.
I didn't sell it. I
You're
didn't sell
like
it.
You gotta
synergy.
sell it, Tim.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I didn't have insight. There was exactly
I was
zero
gonna say,
overlap.
Tim without insights doesn't.
Zero
You
overlap
could
between my
tell
actual
Tim's heart
5.
wasn't in it, right, Josh? Yeah, that's what it was.
Do better,
All
Tim.
right. Well, this one, Tim actually has a much better response for this question, I'm sure. What makes Tim Wilson the quintessential analyst?
Yeah, I'll start with this one.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Absolutely nothing. It's a who rather than a what. And the who is fucking Michael Helbling, who is the quintessential needler of me in this regard. Did I sell that better? I tell you, that
know. I
ChatGPT
think-
is amazing.
ChatGPT could have come up with that, probably. I don't know.
That Tim Sass. All right, so mine is Timothy Robert Wilson, the former Australian politician, served as the chair of the Standing Committee on Economics from 2018 to 2021. He is the quintessential analyst because he represents the most perfect and typical example of an analyst.
All right. That's a good question. Oh, well, let's hear them all first. We don't know.
All right, here's mine. His knack for asking the hard and important questions around data and the business needs, the skill of smelling BS 5 steps ahead because he's been there, done that in his career, and he knows what path to fight like hell to avoid with a stakeholder, and his thoughtfulness in how he approaches conversations with those he mentors and consults. Some may even call it empathy.
Ooh. So we know it wasn't
All right.
mine, but
So who's
these
got a
both
guess?
could be garbage.
Okay. Oh, way in the back. Okay, thinks it was Val. Well, this one's a little bit of a trick. None of them were generated by ChatGPT. Val just tricked you.
Googling skills.
Yeah, we didn't do that very much, but there are some false positives in there. But yeah, when I looked at those answers and I saw Val's, I was like, well, I can't replace that with ChatGPT. That was too good. So we had to keep it. And obviously, if I forced him to read something positive about himself, he'd probably
I'd just storm
Just
out.
just
combust.
leave. Yeah. So.
It's time to step away from the show for a quick word about Piwik Pro. Tim, tell us about it.
Well, Piwik Pro has really exploded in popularity and keeps adding new functionality.
They sure have. They've got an easy-to-use interface, a full set of features with capabilities like custom reports, enhanced e-commerce tracking, and a customer data platform.
We love running Piwik Pro's free plan on the podcast website, but they also have a paid plan that adds scale and some additional features.
Yeah, head over to piwik.pro and check them out for yourself. You can get started with their free plan. That's piwik.pro. And now let's get back to the show.
All right. So, okay, we're going to go deeper. We got to go deeper and more innovative, more creative. You have recently been appointed as the headmaster of Logwarts, the school for analysts with magical powers. Your first task as headmaster is to fill 3 teaching vacancies. Anyone you invite to teach will happily accept. Which 3 people, living or dead, will you appoint to these vacancies, and what classes will they teach?
All right, I'll go first on this one. The 3 professors I would hire to teach magical powers in the realm of analytics are, number 1, Houdini, the art of disappearing when someone drops by your desk with a quick question, 201. Number 2, Einstein, time is an illusion, how to get date formats to work for you, 302. And 3, Marie Kondo, cleaning your data and feeling joy, 400.
Nice.
My turn?
Sure.
All right, my 3 teachers and their positions. The first would be Hans Rosling, class Data Visualization Magic. He's a Swedish physician, by the way, and statistician, was renowned for his ability to transform complex data into compelling visual stories. Then we have Grace Hopper, and the class would be Programming Potions and Spells. She was a pioneering computer scientist and Navy Rear Admiral called the Queen of Code, and she would help students master the art of writing clean and efficient code and understanding underlying principles of computer science. And then third would be Florence Nightingale, statistical healing, and she's the founder of modern nursing.
plus more data visualization
Nice.
from Florence Nightingale, right?
All right, Tim,
Yeah.
what about you?
Well, anyone who puts me in a position to influence the minds of tomorrow should have 10 points deducted from their house. But notwithstanding all that, I'll go with dead giveaway. Number 1, Cassie Kozyrkov to teach the dark arts of decision making. Katie Moakman to teach choiceology and cognition in Muggles. And Cole Nussbaumer Knaflick to teach data visualization, spells, and formulas.
All right, these are good answers. All right, it's a little more complex. Oh, okay, I saw this hand first. That is correct.
It was so long and wordy. I'm like, can I
Yeah.
make this more human? Or like, no, that's not what you're allowed to do. I was like, that's not so awkward.
And I gave it prompts. I told it to try to be succinct and informative.
Wait,
I know,
was-
Michael was
Yeah.
insulted when
It
I
was
said,
Grace
these are
Hopper,
really long.
Grace Hopper, Florence Nightingale, and who was the first one?
Hans
Oh,
Rosling.
Hans Rosling.
I thought they gave
Except
good
they
answers.
Good
it referenced
people,
him,
just long.
but there was because it referenced him in the present, and he died 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and then it referenced him in the past.
Well, it said was renowned. I might have messed up.
Oh, okay. I'm curious,
right.
like, show of hands, how many people know Hans Rosling?
Yeah,
He was
Couple
the
hands.
most, the fun. That was
best TED Talks ever.
That was what 400 people raised their hands, just for the
Yeah.
for the listening audience. And all
Pretty
that.
much
So-
everybody.
Roughly,
All right.
Roughly
The
400.
whole stadium.
Yeah.
Shut up.
What's going on in section H?
All right. Okay, next question. We're going to get into some more practical stuff that can be helpful, but still there might be an AI answer in there. So, this is the question. What are the top 2 pitfalls you would warn a new analyst about?
I'll go. So many possibilities, but I'll go with number 1, diving into the data prematurely, and number 2, believing and acting as though the data provides objective truths.
All right, I'll go next. My 2 pitfalls that I chose were 1, do not let anyone convince you that building dashboards is your biggest contribution to the business. They will try. 2, beware of being sent to chase down evidence in the data just to confirm someone's biased opinion.
That's very good. All right, and my 2 pitfalls for new analysts are 1, tool obsession. Don't get too caught up with the latest tools. Understand the problem first. Tools are just there to help you solve it. And then the second one is ignoring data quality. Always check your data for accuracy and completeness before jumping into analysis. Bad data equals bad insights.
Tricky. All right, who thinks they've got a response or an answer? Oh, all
did good
right.
on that one.
Oh, I'm going to go with this one right back here. But we'll...
Wow.
Val.
I thought I sold it.
That was good, but that's
Val, you
correct.
didn't sell it.
Nice job.
So, Val,
Very
what
nice.
What were your?
Oh yeah,
what were
Val,
your
why don't
real-
you say what your answers were? Because I thought your answer was also really great.
It was,
Really
even though there are beautifully designed documents that outline the process for a business partner to make requests of the analytics team, that is rarely to be followed and is likely that you'll wish you were pulled in earlier and you'll have to deliver something anyways. And the second is that data will never be perfect and you'll need to find the delicate balance of diminishing returns.
Nice.
That was so long. I would have thought that was ChatGPT.
I know.
See?
Holly.
Intentional. I was trying to fake you out.
Val's up here trying to really fake everybody out. She's
Val
working
is
the
sort of
system.
like trying to make it hard for people to guess the answers. That's okay. All right, this one should be pretty easy, I think. Write a poem about analytics.
Who wants to?
All right, I'll start. Okay. So, you may feel adrift when your lines see a lift, since you can't be too sure movement's truly an improvement. So what shall you do when leader's knocking, yoo-hoo? Well, first I'll tell you, surely don't cry, boo-hoo. Because there exists a team that is full of dreams, that understand variation and don't joke about causation. Why, I'm talking about analysts, the best ones to manage it. Trust them with your thoughts so their efforts won't be fraught, and you will have delight when they bring you true insights to light.
Even Christopher Berry is kind of stumped by that one.
Yeah, look at his face.
Just the look on his face is priceless.
You go next.
Oh, me? I have a bit briefer one. Missed targets are red, exceeded targets are green. Deuteranopia colorblindness makes that distinction unseen.
All right. Dashboard modules turn red. Trend lines are blue. This wasn't written by AI. I think it would be better, don't you?
All right. Who's got it? Oh, somebody's already got their hands up. Tim? Are you sure? Final answer. All right. Tim, do you want to reveal that?
It was not me.
It was not Tim.
I mean, that was mine for real. Yeah.
That was Tim. Tim
Yeah.
did write that.
It was me. So you're wrong. Is that,
To put it nicely.
I mean, I still get a point if we're following wait, don't tell me rules.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
There's
yeah.
a score?
Yeah, it's like we keep score, but the rules don't matter. Or the score
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Don't worry. All right. Anybody else want to make a guess? Oh, Brian. Julie is also a good guess, but I have something important to tell you. You're incorrect.
Sadly, I wrote it all.
Guess what?
I was guessing.
All of them were written by our hosts. None of them were written by ChatGPT. Those are human poems, folks. Go figure it out. There's so much creativity on this stage.
I was so bad Tim thought it was AI.
But yeah, okay.
That was a lot of work.
I'll give you one hint. That is your last false positive, so no more of those to worry about, I think. But anyways, I thought a poem would be good because we all expect ChatGPT to do poems, and be observable in that regard. But
I will say on that one, I thought I was going to come up with something that rhymed with Phoenix, which I have not resorted to AI, but it's like Xenix. Kleenex. Somebody said Kleenex.
If only we could have used
Okay.
AI to help with
That's
our
right.
answers.
Yeah.
so this is what we're learning. Crowdsourcing trumps AI,
Yes.
at least for now. All right, here we go. Let's do another question. See, you are the co-host of the Analytics Power Hour podcast, and you have to list the top 2 reasons that you spend your time working on the show. What are those 2 reasons?
All right, I'll go first. Number 1, the vibrant discussions that I always laugh and learn from. And 2, it's an honor to work alongside such intelligent, fun-loving professionals who can push themselves to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
real.
feelings for this one.
Whew. Sharing knowledge. I love diving into analytics topics and sharing insights with our listeners. It's like a fun, ongoing conversation where we all get to learn something new. And building community. The podcast helps create a sense of community among analytics professionals. It's rewarding to connect with people, share experiences, and sometimes even laugh at our shared data woes. And hey, it's all a great excuse to geek out with my co-hosts.
All right, my 2 reasons. 1, to learn from people smarter, more experienced, and in different roles than me. And 2, to get involved and get back to the analytics community.
Nice. All right, who's got a guess? Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Tim? Yeah. Yep.
Well, yeah. Because you can kind of tell when Tim's reading it, right? It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, my actual second reason was because Michael keeps telling me it's a lot easier than blogging,
That's right.
which is kind of grounded in how this whole thing got started.
I realized I didn't read ChatGPT's poem. Do you want me to read it?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
So we'll see. You can compare.
do we have
Remember
time,
the other
or is it
poems,
like
right?
an epic?
No. I told it to keep it short.
Nothing's
I
longer
said,
than mine, I guess.
hey, you're going to be presenting live in front of a smart audience of analysts, so keep your answers succinct and informal, but maybe slightly humorous. This is what it came up with.
Well, you could have given us that instruction.
I could, Tim, but you wouldn't follow it. Hey-o. All right.
Well, that's true.
There once was a data-filled plot where insights were carefully sought. With numbers aligned, the truth we did find. In analytics, knowledge is caught.
Oh,
It's not bad.
See, it was better than mine.
and mine, but not Julie's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hers was great.
Julie's yours was better. All right. Now we're going to get into something a little esoteric or a little harder for maybe a ChatGPT to answer, I think, maybe. All right. So what is your favorite episode of the Analytics Power Hour podcast and why?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Tim took a deep breath. He was pausing, looking if I would go first. Okay. My favorite episode of the Analytics Power Hour is Operationalizing a Culture of Experimentation with Lucas Vermeer. It's packed with practical tips on how companies can embrace and scale a culture of testing and learning, making it super useful and engaging.
Want me to go next?
Sure.
Episode 199, Media Measurement Revisited, Matched Markets, Media Mix, and more with John Wallace. In this episode, the hosts delve into the complexities of multi-touch attribution, media mix modeling, and understanding matched market testing. Understanding the individual strength of those methodologies helps me in my role as an analyst.
So there's likely some recency bias going on, but the one I keep finding myself referring to is number 240, Asking Better Questions with Taylor Buonocore Guthrie. I actually wasn't on the show, but I used the on a scale technique she explained at least once a week. Also, that show wound up being a behind-the-scenes technical nightmare, which was no one's fault, but that one's got kind of a special place in for me because the hosts and the guest and Josh Crowhurst rallied to make the final product kind of hide all of that. Way to go, ChatGPT, getting really inside.
ChatGPT knows about Josh.
All-knowing.
All right, who thinks they know? Who in the back? Valves.
It was not.
Oh, it
But I
was not
used delve
Val's
intentionally.
answer.
I heard you say
Another
Jim
guess
Search.
Yeah.
There would be no more false positives.
Well, there is
I used
actually a
the word.
ChatGPT response. Yeah. It is Julie's. Nice job. All right. Julie, do you want to say what your actual favorite
Sure.
episode is?
Maybe some recency bias also, but episode 237, Crossing the Chasm from the Data to the Meaningful Outcomes with Kathleen Maley is one of my favorites. Just a small tidbit that she talks about that I love and talk about constantly is why she tells her analysts to never say yes when being asked to just pull data, but also why you can never say no. So that's a good one. Take a listen.
It's a really good one.
And I will say, I was validated today when we were having a chat, and Eli had mentioned the Taylor Buonocore Guthrie episode is one that he'd listened to multiple times. So I was like, we wrote these a couple days ago, so I wasn't just playing to the crowd. But,
That's right.
Almost for you.
Nice. All right. This one is practical. Should be insightful. You are an experienced analyst. What is the value of starting an analysis with a hypothesis statement?
I'll go first on this one. Starting an analysis with a hypothesis statement is arguably one of the most important steps of the analytical process. The value is that it puts parameters around the question at hand and sets up everyone to take action once it's been validated.
I'll go. Starting with a hypothesis helps keeps your analysis structured, relevant, and efficient.
All right. Starting with a hypothesis statement in your analysis highlights what assumptions exist by stating what is believed to be true, which gives clearer direction on what to look for in the data. It helps keep efforts focused once you're deep into an analysis, and it helps with communication of your findings back to the stakeholder.
Lots of
a lot of
hands
people
on
want
this
to take a
one.
risk. I want to pick someone I haven't called on. I haven't called on you, right? Go.
I'm guessing Val.
Val.
It was not.
Oh, you got Val got
See,
you
my strategy
again.
now is to
You got to
undersell.
wake up pretty early in the morning. All right, who else? I want to pick someone who hasn't gone. If they raise their hand, but if they don't, then I'll pick
You
you.
could win a
Go ahead.
prize.
All three. Oh, well, I mean, blanket coverage. One of them is generated by ChatGPT, but it's not all three. Only one. Ooh, Jim.
It's Julie.
Wow, look at that. So my prompt engineering skills are strong.
Sarah's like, I got it.
Tim was the ChatGPT response. Yeah, so there you go. All right, Tim, what was your actual answer as well? Because I think yours was also really great.
It overlapped definitely partly with Julie. So we rarely receive requests in the form of a hypothesis, so converting the request to a hypothesis does two things. One, it forces us to slow down and think a little bit, which, two, tends to surface assumptions and fuzziness in the requests that really need to be worked through before diving into the analysis itself. Yeah. I don't think I can answer a question about hypotheses in,
Not use assumptions.
well, not in like less than 12 words. That was the most
Yeah.
Like ChatGPT was like, oh yeah, duh. I'm like,
I feel like I
there's a little bit more to it.
That's right.
feel like I
That's why I
understood
gave
the
you that
assignment.
answer, Tim. I knew it would wrinkle.
I feel like you didn't really understand the assignment.
Okay.
Because you were like Tim Wilson flair all over these questions. There's like, we got to like pare it down. Because that wouldn't have been my perfect answer, but I was trying to go.
Well, what would be, Val, what would be?
You know what?
I
I think
gonna
we were
come off
given,
with off the
I think
cuff.
we were given
You can go
incomplete,
off the cuff.
inaccurate prompts. It wasn't in the prompt. I just
You
followed the
didn't
assignment.
take it into a hypothesis and ask about the assumptions.
Oh, I did.
Humans, am I right? All right. Do you want to talk about it a little bit more, though,
No,
Val?
we're good.
No, she just wanted to give me shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Well, that's fine. All right. Let's jump to another question. Can you give me one good tip for doing analytics well that demonstrates that you are a human?
Okay. Okay. Always be learning. It doesn't really matter what or how, as long as you're finding a path that is interesting to you and challenging to you. For one, that will make for a more fulfilling life, but it will also make you a better analyst.
All right, I'll go. My one tip would be talk with your stakeholders live and ask questions to gain more context around where their ask is truly coming from and what they are trying to achieve.
All right, here's a good tip for doing analytics well. Always keep asking why. Dig into your data like a detective solving a mystery. If sales are down, don't just note it, ask why. Keep asking why until you hit the root cause, because remember, curiosity didn't just kill the cat, it also found the insights.
Ooh. All right. Right here. Is it Tim?
That was me. Legit human.
Oh, in the back.
Yeah.
It was Val this time. Yeah.
That was good. You sold it well. I liked that.
I really was convinced that was Val's prompt engineering of herself, trying to play AI.
I was reading it thinking, I kind of
Well,
sold
that
this.
was
And
what
there
was-
might be a suck it, Val, on that one.
That's what worked out well this time because people were primed to be like, well, wait a
I
second.
know no one trusts Val now.
That's right.
Probably working with her.
Val's always trying to trick you. All right. Well,
That just
there's
got
facts and
serious.
then there's feelings. Am I right? All right. Val, what was your real answer, though?
Oh.
We can do that.
It's okay to admit when you don't know the answer to something and you need to do some research before responding. That one I couldn't help but just be real talk about.
That was good.
That's good.
That's a good advice.
It's okay.
That was awesome. All right. Well, this is going pretty good.
Although, kind of, not to tie it back to Jim's asking the ChatGPT or whatever what else it needs, or whatever the platform is, what else it needs to know. That, I feel like there is a little bit of a tie in there. If you're a human, okay, never mind. I'm losing the thread.
I followed. I know where you're going with that.
It's all good. All right. We've got another question. What are two deeply ingrained habits of our industry that are problematic to being able to deliver value?
All right, I'll go first. All right. Number 1, dashboard dependency. Dashboards are great, but don't stop there. Obviously, dig deeper to find real insights. And 2 is trend chasing. Stay updated, but don't forget the basics. Focus on fundamental skills and critical thinking over the latest buzzwords.
Oh, you were going to your phone. It looks
All right,
like
I'll
you were
go. I'm ready.
all right, I'll go. You
Rip
already
rearing.
had inhaled and had your phone unlocked, so.
All right, number 1, thinking you can schedule insight delivery on a monthly basis. And 2, democratizing data via dashboards is possible.
Okay. 1, we have fetishized the collection of data to the point that we chase more data and more granular data and cleaner data to the detriment of actually doing things with the data. 2, we jump too quickly to, can I deliver the data asked for, rather than pausing and asking, am I really, really clear on the underlying business need and business thinking that drove the request in the first place?
These are good questions. All right. Joe. Julie.
It was I.
It
Hey,
was
good job,
Julie.
Joe.
Right. So yeah, sometimes ChatGPT is hard to pick out, and sometimes it's kind of easy. It's kind of interesting to see where it does or doesn't kind of rise to the surface? What? No, I'm saying it's
Joe said, don't diminish my accomplishment.
I'm saying some of them were harder than others, Joe. Julie, what was your real answer?
My real answers? Okay. Number one for me was constantly looking backwards at historical data and trying to determine why a metric moved instead of determining what they need to learn from the data moving forward to take action and make change. That was number one. Number two was mistaking correlation for causation.
Ooh, I like that. All right. These are awesome. Thank you all for putting up with this exciting test of AI. Thanks all of you for figuring out the AI agent in the midst. We still have some time, so we'd like to open it up to some Q&A, and it doesn't have to be about ChatGPT or any of the questions. It could be about anything. But if you have a question you'd like to ask, we'll come around with a microphone, and please do use the microphone because we are recording this so we can play it live. No stress, don't worry.
I think Jim's trying to determine if there's another channel that actually they can record on.
This one. All right, does anyone have a question?
Hello. This is John Lovett, and I've got a question. What the heck does rock flag mean?
Oh, that's a good question.
Let's talk about
All right, so there's a show on television called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And on that show, this has nothing to do with the Analytics Power Hour, but this is where it comes from. On that show, there was a sketch where one of the characters was getting really patriotic and fired up about America, and he made up a little song about how he was getting fired up. And it went something like, I'm going to get fired up, going to get my truck, truck of the USA. And at the end he goes, rock flag and eagle.
Can you do a little bit more?
Yeah.
No, that was all I remember. And so what had happened was we sort of just laughed at that at one point and then threw it into a show at the end, and then it became a thing that happened every time after that because of our deep love for the city of Philadelphia and the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I don't know that we actually love it, but that is where it came from. Rock flag and eagle.
So, Michael, you need to hold on a second because we're going to have, I think we're, are we going to be, you and three and, yeah.
You're on the podium.
Okay.
And that also, we should say, is like the hot potato. So whoever starts the show prep doc assigns someone else to do it at the end of the show because you can't tell the guest we're about to do it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
you can
right.
Tell
we
that.
keep it a secret from every guest, so they don't know we're doing it until we actually do it.
So
Which,
it's like
having
show
done
ends.
the first 180 of them, I'm like, this is so awkward. And they're like, no, it's fine. And then we started shuffling it around where somebody else had to do it. And the first time everyone had to do it, they're like, we just had a great conversation with this person, and I just need to blurt out something like a moron. What are you doing? I'm like, yeah.
Communities have a culture, folks. That's what this is. Norms.
Sure. Hi, Alex from the great city of Philadelphia. Go Birds. Val, one of your answers towards the end, you could tell wasn't AI generated. The dead giveaway is that it described a problem that's ripped from daily life, and it was something to the effect of, I'm going to butcher it, but working with stakeholders in senior leadership to let them know that insights can't be delivered on a weekly schedule. It's not insights o'clock. How do you do you have any tips for, and this might just be a stodgy problem, but having that conversation and communicating it and setting expectations in a better way?
That is a great question, and I actually think this was one of the ones that we addressed on the one of our most recent episodes where some of our listeners called in. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Tim? Because I'm probably going to end up paraphrasing a lot of what you said because I agree.
But I've blacked out and have no idea what I said. So,
Go for it.
Go for it?
Yeah.
Well, to me, the part of what we're trying to do is kind of help them understand and kind of talk them through that there's two things they're doing when there's the weekly report or the monthly meeting, and one of it is how are we executing, how are we delivering against whatever goals we set. It's just an objective, quantitative view of how are we doing, and in our world, that's performance measurement. And saying, that's good and that's valuable, and we will definitely do that. There are no insights in that. The insights come from, and it actually was in one of your answers here, are more of the forward-looking of like, what do we need to know? And let's look forward, so then the next time that we meet, we're answering your questions or responding to hypotheses. So trying to split it into two pieces so that they get the piece. They see those as being two separate things. The tricky part is like the first time. Like once, if you've got the monthly meeting or the biweekly meeting, you have to have that one where you get them to look forward, and then you can be in a cycle where you're not necessarily delivering monthly insights, but you are coming back to them with stuff, whether you had to run a test or do some analysis. You're coming back and answering questions, and then maybe some of those are insights. But I don't know, the years that I lived in the agency world where it was, we'll just do whatever we're going to do, and then at the end of the period, the analyst, find some stuff in the data. And it took relationship, communication, being patient to kind of affect that sort of shift. And then everybody was like happy as could be, but it's painful to get there.
And the other thing that I'll say that the part that you
You're
can
going to say the thing
schedule,
that I actually said on that.
No,
note,
that
was like,
last part. No,
okay.
that wasn't. No, that's exactly what I wanted you to say, and I knew you would do better than I could do it justice. But the part that you can schedule is checking in on your progress against the previously established goals. How are we pacing? And that part you can come back to on a weekly cadence if they want to, biweekly, monthly, and that can be the starting point for that conversation. So I think that's. But yeah, I love the relationship building part of it.
One last thing too is, Tim, you talk about this all the time. It's kind of like keeping the word insights. Just don't use it everywhere for everything. Don't call every, thing you're going to put in your slides an insight. To his point, just talk about, how are we going against our goals? Like, where are we at? That's not an insight. It's just kind of a fact. And then at least keep insights special as you're trying to work with them and do the change management of like, what should you be expecting in those monthly reports every time?
Yeah, question over here.
Hello, Thomas Basilovac, MASH Metrics. So I know you guys have all worked for several, different size agencies, large, small, medium. Maybe just explain some of the differences between those experiences.
Okay, Julie hasn't.
Okay.
I just realized I looked at. Sorry.
Yeah, Julie, do you want
It
to start?
started smaller. It's gotten bigger. Okay.
There you go. That's a perspective.
There's a correlation between size and fun sometimes.
I mean, because Michael, you were at big, and then you were at small, and then small grow or medium, and grow into
that.
Big. Yeah.
Other than that, I also think it was one of the speakers today, Mohammed, was talking about some of his experiences, and I definitely got some flashbacks to big agency life.
He slacked us. He's like, PTSD.
He's like, yep, oh, yeah. I was like, that's not my experience now in a smaller company. I don't know. What about you guys?
I mean, I think the larger agencies, you wind up in the challenge. And actually, Mohammed's talked about having like an account executive who was like really solid. And let's just say hypothetically, not from my personal experience, but at larger agencies, you can wind up with the bigger it gets, the more kind of overhead there is, and the more kind of expectations. If the accounts are bigger, I feel like I've theoretically experienced being a little more whipsawed by the case of like, oh, you're the analyst, and let me tell you what I told the client you would do, and it's too late to shift that. Whereas the smaller agencies, I think there's a lot more direct connection in the sales process and in the expectation setting and in the relationship, and there are kind of more barriers removed. And I think there are agencies and consultancies that have managed that really well, but I think there are also ones that just, as they're scaling, they wind up inserting kind of some middleware in the client relationship that makes it really, really tough as an analyst.
I'll say one other difference for me is when I was at the smaller agencies and organizations, I felt very connected to the business. Like I kind of knew everyone and I knew who to go to, and I understood like how we were performing month over month. I felt very connected to that. Whereas in the larger organizations, like felt kind of like lost, but they also could like take those bumps a little bit better. And so if I didn't really enjoy a client or I felt like I'd outgrown it, I could like make a request and 4 weeks later, like my entire workload changed. And so I would say that there's like pros and cons of all of it.
One internal thing less on the client side, when coming into what was Search Discovery, and it was a little smaller, it felt really nice on all my project different teams that I had, it was very consistent, and you kind of naturally picked up like, this is the way we do things. And it's been interesting through the years to watch as we've gotten a lot larger as a company, and you get new people coming in, you get a lot of great new ideas, but it becomes a much more formal process that you have to set out and say, this is the way we do things, and you have to be better at communicating and training and kind of getting everybody on that same page of like, this is how we deliver, this is the way we run things, this is what this deliverable looks like, this is what we call things. So that's been interesting to experience as well.
I'm going to do one add on to that. It's a great point that I think when an agency is growing up by itself, it can figure that out, but you just spark when you bring in, due to growth, bringing in people at different levels who come in with the way they've worked, what they've done. They're being hired for their experience and their expertise, and then trying to manage how that gets kind of folded in. And there is a tendency with all of us to want to keep doing things the way we were doing. And especially if you've been hired in and people are excited, like, oh, you're the hot new analyst coming in, you get that signal coming in, and that makes you think, and I need to put my imprimatur on this agency, which really means I'm going to go shake up the process they have without necessarily thinking through why they have the process and way of doing things. And that causes, I think, a lot of friction and doesn't tend to get addressed head on. It just kind of happens and people get frustrated.
That's a good point.
All right, I'm going to ask one last question before we wrap up, and it's to all my panelists, and I'll try to answer to you. What's one idea, insight, interesting thing you've taken from the conference this week?
Okay, I'll go first. It was actually the opening talk that Jim did about AI. That's why I went first. Just the way you talked about thinking about using generative AI, and you stated, it's not good at facts. Use it to help you be creative and think outside the box. I love the prompts that you put up as examples of better ways to get it to kind of like tell you what else to ask it or different ways to think, especially the one too when you have a presentation and kind of outlining like, if these 3 people were to look at my presentation and I left the room, what would they say about it? So I loved those. I can't wait to try them.
This is 100% the thing where I'm going to have like 3 or 4 other ones that I think of right after this.
You can see the clock right there.
I didn't even notice.
Fucking stall.
Said that.
This is like when you put the podcast on 1.5 speed. Okay, Tim, go.
Yeah, go. Well, because the thing was we were trying to recall it later, and this was actually not in a session, and there were great sessions. This is where I'm going to, and so Jim's definitely, but Christopher, what was your line about, help me out, the
organizations
optimize. Jeez Louise. You have to go back to it. They optimize to the least.
Not have the conversations.
Oh. Yeah. Christopher, what's the line?
Every organization.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute.
Mic him.
Yeah, mic him up.
Every organization optimizes for avoiding the conversations they need to have.
Amen.
So good.
I like
and there
that.
were absolutely great sessions. That one was just an easy soundbite.
That was a good one. All right, so mine is going to be a huge shout out to Barb and Claire. Their presentation, that was fucking phenomenal. It was really, really good. And I'm totally okay with saying I did not know what CAPI was before the presentation, and I actually mispronounced it during their introduction. I'm like, copy or cap? And like your presentation just walked through, like it spoke to me as a beginner of that topic, but there was like 15 people who rushed them afterwards.
Could you say what the topic is?
Oh, sorry. It was demystifying and talking about laying some of the groundwork and some of the reasons why you would investigate or see if it's a good fit for you to deploy CAPI, right? Is that a good kind of first-party data strategies? And so, yeah, it was an excellent topic, and I think that those 15 people who rushed them after their presentation to ask them more questions, so really, really well done.
Thank you, Bill.
Nice. And one of my favorites this week was probably the presentation by Martin Broadhurst about how analysts can use generative AI. Yeah,
He literally just walked into the room.
It's good. I feel good about that.
Michael was like, it's whoever I make eye contact with.
That's right. It's
"That
your
was the
time.
best one."
That's who it's going to be. Well, no, I thought it was just well researched and well reasoned in terms of where we can, as analysts, lean into AI and where we can't. And I felt like that was very practical for me. So, very lovely. All right. Well, thank you to all my co-hosts, Julie, Val, Tim, and also a huge shout out to our executive producer, Josh Crowhurst, who makes all this magic happen behind the scenes. You see what kind of crazy operation we're running here when we're doing this in person. And I just want to say thank you all for having us. It's been a delight to be here at Marketing Analytics Summit this week and to share knowledge and be with our community. So thank you all very much.
Thanks for listening. Let's keep the conversation going with your comments, suggestions, and questions on Twitter at @AnalyticsHour, on the web at analyticshour.io, our LinkedIn group, and the Measured Chat Slack group. Music for the podcast by Josh Crowhurst.
So smart guys wanted to fit in, so they made up a term called analytics. Analytics don't work.
I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those three circles and the analysis about where there is the intersection, right?
It's your moment. Yeah. Don't worry about dead air. We'll fix it in post.
We usually say, sorry, Josh, about 16 times in episodes, which you never hear in the final edit.
Rock flag, and I am not an AI.
That's pretty good.